Universal Hinge brand bolt-on hinge installation and operation. The process of removing the 6 bolts specified on the datasheet is begun. The 6 bolts are removed from the cover. Using a wire brush on a drill, the bolt holes in the cover are wire brushed to remove any caked-on compounds. Insert the expandable pin into the appropriate bolt hole. Slide the expandable pin in and out a few times to ensure there is no obstruction and that the pin can easily be inserted into the bolt hole. This is done on both the upper and lower cover bolt holes that will be used with the expandable pin. While holding the cover hinge plate and expandable fastening pin, the cover hinge plate is lifted and positioned such that the expandable pin may be inserted into the appropriate bolt hole in the cover. Push the expandable pin completely into the hinge plate bolt hole. Ensure that the hinge plate is flush with the cover. Hand tighten the nut on the expandable pin. A long socket is used without a ratchet, breaker bar, or other lever device to hand tighten the expandable pin nut. The flange hinge plate is positioned on the flange. Please note the hinge tabs are located inside the hinge tabs of the cover hinge plate and that the hinge tabs point towards each other. Short bolts are used instead of the expandable pins on the flange hinge plate. A short bolt is inserted into the upper bolt hole in the flange hinge plate and screwed into the tape bolt holes in the flange. A short bolt is inserted into the bottom flange hinge plate bolt hole and hand tightened. The hinge pin is inserted into the top of the hinge. Please note the pin is inserted from the top with the threads at the bottom. The hinge pin is inserted into the bottom of the hinge. Please note that the pin is inserted from the top with the threads at the bottom. The hinge pin nut is screwed onto the hinge pin and hand tightened. The expandable pins on the cover hinge plate are loosened slightly to permit alignment of the hinge pin. The upper hinge pin is pushed completely through the cover and flange hinge plate tabs. Only after ensuring that the hinge pin is completely through both tabs of the hinge plates does the workman tap the hinge pin home using a rubber mallet. The upper hinge pin nut is screwed onto the upper hinge pin and hand tightened. The lower short bolt on the flange hinge plate is tightened to the torque specified on the data sheet in the instruction manual. The lower expandable pin nut is tightened to the specified torque. Using the calibrated torque wrench and a socket, the upper hinge pin is tightened in accordance with the instruction manual directions. The lower hinge pin is now tightened in the same manner as the upper hinge pin. All of the remaining cover bolts except for the 6 cover bolts directly opposite the hinge on the other side of the cover are loosened and removed from the cover. A safety bolt is hand tightened through the cover into the matting flange at approximately the 7 o'clock position. 2 of the remaining 6 bolts are loosened and removed from the cover. 2 of the remaining 4 bolts are loosened and removed. Again, these are the furthest from the horizontal center line. 1 of the remaining 2 cover bolts is loosened and removed. The safety bolt is again checked to confirm that it is loose and that the cover has not moved or dropped. The last cover bolt is loosened, but it is not removed. Once the cover is very slightly away from the matting flange, but before the last cover bolt is completely removed, check the safety bolt and confirm that it is still loose. The last cover bolt is removed. The cover is gently pulled away from the matting flange with the safety bolt in place. This confirms that the Universal Hinge brand bolt-on hinge is supporting the cover. Once it has been confirmed that the cover is supported by the hinge, the safety bolt is removed. The cover is opened just as you would a door. The Universal Hinge brand bolt-on hinge is supporting the cover, permitting it to open to facilitate maintenance.